Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. This is the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Lincoln Center in Manhattan. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce for the first time with us Katherine Nouri Hughes, otherwise known as Kate, if you will, the author of a fascinating book called The Mapmaker's Daughter. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. This book took you, we were just talking about before we got in the air, 20 years.
Yeah, it didn't take 20 years to write, thank God.
Process.
But it from the beginning of the project, when the idea was first brought to me by a professor of mine at Princeton, till its publication in this past August, it's 20 years.
The hook, I shouldn't say that, the primary theme of the book.
It's a story about the bond between a 12-year-old girl and the most powerful man on earth, who at the time was the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. It's a story about who that girl becomes, very much under his influence, and it's about the trust that they repose in each other and why they feel this trust. And it's about the sense she tries and succeeds in making of her life as the book unfolds. It is it's a sick bed, I won't say deathbed because I don't want to give too much away, memoir. So it's toward the very end of her life, and she wants to get to the bottom of who she is and why she's done the things she's done.
What drew you to her as a character? What draws you to her as a character?
She was enormously powerful. That's what I was told in the beginning by my professor at Princeton.
Excuse me, her name is
Nurbanu.
Nurbanu.
That's the name that Suleiman gave her. She was born, you like this, she was Italian, she was Venetian, Cecilia Baffo-Veniero.
Yes.
And
our family's from Naples. We found our way up there at some point, but go ahead.
So you know how important this is set in the middle of the 16th century, yes, right, when the Ottoman Empire is at the apex of its power. And what my professor at Princeton, Bernard Lewis, said was that there was this woman who was gigantically powerful when the empire was at the height of its power, but very little was known about her. And so I wondered, well, why that? I wondered about that incongruity, the amount of power and the little that was known, and that clearly made her very attractive as a subject for fiction, which this most definitely is. And I'm a writer of fiction. I'm not an historian, so.
But over the 20 years, the process, to what degree, Kate, did she change for you as a writer?
It's a great question. Enormously. She changed because I got to know her better, but she also changed because I changed. If I'd been able to somehow to do this book in 3 years, she would have been a different character. When I started. Okay, she dies when she's 58 years old.
Right.
When I started the book, I was 48. And I thought, okay, my goal is to finish this book before I'm the age she was when she died. And so I blew through 58, and I changed a lot.
How so?
Importantly, I became a grandmother in that time. When I started, I wasn't a grandmother. Now my grandson drives a car, to give you an idea. I wasn't on Medicaid when I started this thing. I have become more patient. I learned, part of the reason why it took so long was because every publisher that looked at it didn't accept it. So
you had some rejections.
I had some rejections, and I'm not given to taking no for an answer, but I learned how to, and I learned from the no.
Aside from interrupting, explain that to people who often hear no. I hear no. I've heard no. I'm sure I'll hear it again.
Right.
Dealing with rejection.
Part of why I was able to stick with this and deal with the rejections was because, and this again is just my character, I put all my eggs in one basket with this project.
All in.
Yeah, I really did. And with this, thank goodness I had an enormously supportive husband who made it possible for me to do that. I left a paying job that I had, and I just decided I was going to give this absolutely everything I had. Yeah. And so the rejections, they didn't hurt less as a result, but they were more motivating than they were dispiriting. And they did make me a better writer. There's absolutely no question about it.
I want to plug this before I come back to something. The book is called The Mapmaker's Daughter. Kate took a few years to write this. I would be remiss if I did not bring up another piece to your story. Robert Del Tufo, former Attorney General in New Jersey, a huge influence on my life, and I told you this before we got on the air, on the lives of so many of us who grew up in New Jersey, who went into public life at an early age. He was the role model for integrity, honesty, character, and simply doing the right thing.
That's right.
He was.
He was my husband. We were married. We got married a couple of years before I began the book, and as I said, I really wouldn't have had the nerve to, leave a good-paying job and go unbidden into this land of writing fiction.
Sure.
I'd never written a novel before, and his attitude was, "You can't even think about not doing this."
He was all in for you.
Absolutely, he was. He's all in for anything that he took seriously. And you know that, and I know your father knew it, and people who've been around New Jersey for a long time know it. He really did stand for integrity.
He stood up against a lot of odds, and
I mean, he was there during Abscam, as you know.
He was more than there.
He was more than there. He was the United States Attorney at the time under Carter, and
he led that investigation.
Yes, he did, and it was very complicated, and he went right up against it.
I also would be remiss if I didn't ask you this. There are so many people watching us, particularly in public broadcasting. They see themselves as writers. They want to be writers. Advice to them?
Oh, yes. If you want to be a writer, don't let anything stop you. Pay close attention to everything that's around you, and absolutely don't give up, and be as honest with yourself as you can. I mean, that's really this 20-year trajectory of the book. It follows the trajectory of this character's life. I want to say this about its structure. It's told in a 30-day period of a journal. And so in the 30 days, she's recalling the 58 years of her life. But it's in the course of those days that she gets increasingly honest. So she'll make an observation about a relationship, say on day 4 of the journal. And on day 6, she realizes that wasn't absolutely honest, and she revises it.
Wow.
And so by the end, she gets to the truth of who she is and why she's done what she did. And I followed a sort of similar trajectory, I think.
Okay, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being with us.
Pleasure.
Thank you for inspiring others. And look up Robert Del Tufo.
Yes.
Research it.
Thank you for
the way you
mentioning
researched the way you did for this book, The Mapmaker's Daughter. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you so much.
Stay right there. You're welcome anytime in public broadcasting. Be right back right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by TD Bank, the Russell Berry Foundation, PSE&G, Adler Aphasia Center, the law firm of Gibbons PC, the New Jersey Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor, and by NJM Insurance Group. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.